What is up, everybody? I am your host, Shane Mallory, joined by my co-host,
Ricky DaCosta.
Tell the folks what time it is.
Run it back.
Time to run it back. Beautiful people, you already know what I'm going to say. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're looking for those 5-star reviews on all those major platforms. Again, give us that smoke in the comments. We love the debate. You Philly and Dallas fans, you always know I'm ready for that smoke. So, I mean, we might be talking about you
came
guys.
after the Philly.
Oh, I came
faithful,
after. Well, really one Philly. Yeah, really one
right.
guy from Philly. Because I actually like Jalen Hurts, and I think I talked about it on the last episode.
That's all you like on the team? Saquon?
I do like Saquon.
AJ?
I mean, yeah, I do.
Devontae?
I like Hurts. I like Smith. And I like a couple of defensive players too. But again, please like, comment, and subscribe. But with that, we get into the show. So I want to start off with a little recap of the Olympics. Start off first, shout out to the USA track and field team. Ties the record for most medals won since 1984. Pretty fantastic. We had Noah Lyles was a gold medalist, and I think he's now deemed the fastest man alive. The woman
held by a Jamaican for a very long time.
Yes. And he got a lot of people thought he retired before his run.
Technically, Usain Bolt has the fastest time ever.
He does,
right?
He does.
So
slowing down at the finish too. That's the funny part.
The current competitive fastest man in the world,
but
not the fastest man on the planet.
Yeah, no, Usain Bolt is the fastest man of all.
Just
time.
Gotta throw that out there for my Jamaicans.
No, listen, that's totally fair, man. I'm a USA guy.
It is a Jamaica America
little
rivalry.
Sure.
On the men's side and the women's side.
Ah, there you go. We just have like fantastic collective athletes, and as a guy who's coached track and field before, we're just good at a little bit of everything. Like we've got good sprinters, we've got good throwers. And again, on both the men's and women's side. So that's how you get results like that. So shout out to USA Track and Field. Congratulations to all the Olympians across all the countries. The games were phenomenal. I can't act like I watched every single event, but the ones I watched, the Olympics are always enjoyable to sit down.
Yeah, let's just say the times were a little awkward, right?
Yeah, I'm a wrestling guy. It was crazy.
2 p.m. or 5 a.m.
Correct.
So you don't really want to watch it on replay.
Sure.
So
USA basketball was at weird times too as well. Like there are a ton of my friends who couldn't watch the games because they were working. So
amen.
It's tough. But I got to watch the Serbia game. That was fantastic. Oh my God. What a showdown, man. I really thought the US was going to lose multiple times. Shout out really quick here too. I mean, listen, Jokic is just a bad dude, man. Like he gave the USA problems that whole game, but props to the US.
You know what I took away from that game?
Sure.
LeBron was guarding Jokic.
He was.
Where was that?
He was.
In the NBA playoffs.
Oh, man.
When they needed to win a game.
Yeah.
You
saw how tired he was though from guarding him, man. That is no easy assignment. It did.
Maybe not for all the game.
No, but it forced him to work so hard to get to the basket.
Remember if I'm not mistaken, 3 of those Denver Lakers game came down to less than 5 points.
Close games. Lakers had leads in the first 2 games too, like substantial leads. They just couldn't hold on to them.
And again, I understand LeBron has to carry, the Lakers and put up the points. Yeah. But man, that's what I took away from that game. I was like, LeBron, you got to do that, against
now.
Jokic.
Is that just shade at LeBron, or is there like a little shade?
No. That's actually nothing but respect.
Yeah,
because you're 40. And you can hold down Jokic defensively.
Sure.
Everyone is arguing that he's the greatest player currently in the NBA.
LeBron? Oh, Jokic right now. Jokic. Yeah, sure.
So if LeBron, a 40-year-old man, can slow him down, I'm not going to say stop him.
Yeah.
Because
he gave the defense
a lot
fits.
of respect. So I'm like, where was the coaching and the adjustments?
It's a lot different, though, guarding Jokic when you got Team USA behind you than it is when you're just on the Lakers.
That is fair. Now, okay, second thing I'll take away, that LeBron, Steph combo. It's like the 2 players there were never 2 players more designed to play with each other. Yeah.
Their skill sets perfectly complement. And then just to add on with that, you put Steph, LeBron, and KD out on a basketball court together on the same team. It's like cheating. It really is like cheating.
And listen, KD is just that good though.
He is. KD is awesome. KD is awesome. He really is. And he struggled in that Serbia game. And then towards the end, he hit the 2-pointer, I think, that put them up 3 points and kind of just kept the U.S. going.
Well,
it was a lot of fun to watch.
I think a part of the problem, too, is, and even Kerr admitted this, they didn't run any plays, right? And so, in essence, it's just pick up ball.
They had an organized defense, but the offense was very figure it out as you go.
And I think that probably, held them back a little bit because, again, NBA players are used to running offensive plays. So the fact, don't get me wrong, they could hoop, right?
Plays,
but in hooping,
sets,
you're playing against a professional team, a team that has, played more consistently together.
Correct.
They're running plays.
Their strategies, their sets. Yeah.
And I also think that's why Tatum struggled a little bit.
Yes, no, I agree. I also think Tatum, and this is no dig at him, but as good as he is, obviously, and as good as the Celtics are, like when you put him with a bunch of other like true superstars, proven commodities over the course of time, he tends to kind of shy away. Look at him on his own team. That's the big dig on him with Boston right now currently, is that he doesn't take the reins sometimes and show you that alpha. Well, now you put him with all the best NBA players in the world. I think he may be shied away from a little bit, but I think it's a good learning experience for him because he's going to be kind of the guy tabbed with carrying the torch going forward in the future Olympic Games. So
not even gonna lie, if LeBron and Steph and KD are not on the next team,
I doubt it.
We got some problems.
LeBron might not even be in the league. I would bet on LeBron not being there. Steph and Durant, I'm not sure. I think that might be all three of those guys' respective last Olympic Games. I do.
All
right. But listen, USA basketball obviously wins gold. It's a good game against France. France cut it to, I think, within 6 in the fourth quarter, but you just felt like the USA was always going to find a way. NBA is on notice, man. Watch out for Wemby, though, dude. That dude is going to be a monster.
Yeah, he's got game.
He's really going to be a monster. But this brings up 2 little fun debate questions I wanted to ask you. So first,
Lord,
if you take, I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking the question.
Go ahead.
You got 2024 USA men's basketball team, okay, that just won gold, versus the Dream Team. Who you got?
Conversation.
This is just a question that's out there. My friend in the chat happens to believe too, because I have a basketball chat that I've told you about for years. He thinks that this 2024 team is the most talent assembled on a USA roster ever. That was his exact statement.
I will not disagree.
Okay.
I will not disagree with the level of talent.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But there's a saying out there in sports, right? It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
I love it.
And there is no way on earth, okay? No way on earth the Dream Team is going to lose to any Olympic team ever.
Wow.
Michael Jordan's on that team?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
First of all,
he wasn't even the MVP of that team, too. It was Barkley.
And that's okay.
Yeah, I know.
And that's okay.
Sure.
Right? So my point is, and obviously, listen, Michael is a legend, what he's grown to be.
Sure.
But his instinct, right? His will to win, right? A lot of what I'll argue, it's not about talent. It's not about skill. It's 100% about will. And look at the U.S. I get it. Jokic got game. Wemby got game. But I don't think that team has the attitude, the mentality, and the will. I'm not going to say desire, right? Because they had a lot of desire to win. But those other 3 categories, there's no way they're touching the Dream Team. I don't even think it's close.
So here's what I'll say. I actually think that you just described it damn near perfectly. I think that.
Can you repeat that again?
No,
because you know this is on camera.
I think that was a perfect. And me and my friends, we all debated back and forth on this. Okay, most of us ended up falling on the side of the Dream Team. My one friend was like 2024. And to your point, when I look at this team this year, as athletic and as talented and as gifted as they were, they lack like that dog mentality / like the fighter, go and just play some bully ball. And I think the difference between these 2 teams, while 2024 probably had a little bit more talent, I think that the USA Dream, the Dream Team, I think they could have matched up with them defensively. And then also, I think they had a style of ball that this USA team would have not been prepared for. When you got bullies like Malone and all the bigs that they had on that team, I think they could have found a way to make it a 2-point game and then just ultimately bully this 2024 team.
So
a more physical style.
Let's just remember this, right? So just as a comparison, right? It's not 100% apples to apples, but just, follow me for a second.
Different game in 92
right?
than it was now.
So you have, everything that's being said about Jokic,
yes.
right? and he damn near, took Serbia.
USA.
Took
Serbia.
Almost took USA down.
I got you.
Took his country almost past the United States, right?
With one other NBA player.
With one other NBA player, right?
Bogdanovich is a badass, but
remember this. Back during the Dream Team days, there was one Tony Kukoc.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That was deemed the next coming.
Yep.
Right?
I would say he wasn't a Jokic player, but at the time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just as a comparison, right?
Yes.
But he was deemed
They said he was the European Magic Johnson. Yeah.
You said it.
Yep.
That's what they were saying.
Yep.
And then what did the Dream Team decide to do?
What
did they do?
They beat him up that first game, man. They beat him up.
And who
that
beat him
first
up?
Game. Jordan and Pippen. They just went after him. They went after him. Jordan
and then
Pippen.
Who ended up being their teammate?
Kukoc. Yeah, Kukoc. Tony.
Right? So at the end of the day,
that game I think helped Kukoc's career too, coming into the NBA.
Agreed. But think about that. Like, that's just a difference in mentality, right? Jordan and Pippen were like, oh, that's the man?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. That's the European man. That's the next coming, right? That is the savior?
Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't liking it. They weren't
right?
liking
They clamp him down.
Yeah.
Jordan's like, I don't got to score. I'm not going to score.
Yeah.
This Kukoc guy, he ain't never going to play basketball again.
Well, and Pippen was extra bitter too because they looked at him almost as like a replacement. Yeah. Yep.
So think about this now. Imagine if Kukoc didn't end up on Michael Jordan's team and he had to face him again in the league. Kukoc didn't want that smoke.
Yeah, no,
right?
I mean, it's...
So my point there, that level, that difference in mentality, right, that they didn't need motivation.
Sure.
I felt that this U.S. team needed motivation. They needed a close game against, a couple teams they played. I forget the African country they played.
Okay.
Ghana? Was it? No, it wasn't Nigeria. It wasn't Ghana.
Okay.
I think it was something with an S.
Okay.
Forgive me for that. But like, they needed those close games. LeBron won it, with a basket at the end.
Sure.
And so they
international level basketball is much tougher.
It's 40
now.
minutes,
like,
so it's a little faster, 100%.
Sure.
But I felt like, listen, this Dream Team today, there's no one basket game, right? Like, they're winning by 7 or more, 10 or more.
Other
right?
than the
I'll give respect. I won't say 30, but they're winning every game by 10 or more, right? But this team, which is an exceptional team, I think talent-wise,
you meant the Dream Team. I get what you're saying.
The Dream Team could beat any other country right now by 10 or more points.
Okay.
Right in today's world, versus the current Olympic team couldn't do that.
Okay. I mean, again, it's always like it's the debates that could last till the end of time because we can't go into a time machine. But listen, I'm with you. I take the Dream Team over 2024, just in terms of total dominance.
So far, you're wise today.
Now, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll play devil's advocate in this next question. With this, with the USA basketball team winning gold, and capping off this Olympic run, there's a lot of talk resurfacing now about LeBron James, his longevity. You can't deny that he's been the best player for the longest period of time. Okay. So the debate now is coming up, and I've seen I've told you about him before, Jason Timpf. He runs a podcast called Hoops Tonight. It's part of the volume. He now even came out and said that LeBron is the GOAT. Paul Pierce said it. There were multiple NBA players that were outspoken in either tweets or some type of an interview. They're basically saying now it's just so hard now I can't even deny that LeBron is the greatest. Now, Pippen went out and said it too, for what it's worth. There's a lot of bad blood right now between Pippen and MJ. Now, Pippen had said that years prior to another, but he's gone back and forth a lot of different opinions. But the point is, LeBron winning the MVP for the USA team with all these studs and horses on the team at 39 years old, people are just, I guess there's more people that are moving to the LeBron is the greatest of all time camp. So it's LeBron versus MJ. You still with MJ?
Well, before I start, because you usually like to say I'm very controversial, right? So what are your thoughts? Where are you on this position?
I'm going to try to not sound like a politician in my answer, but I'm going to try to be very forthright.
You got to pick a side. I
will pick a side for the record.
Right.
I will pick a side. But again, I love these conversations just because it kind of it gives you a mind into what people think in terms of when they're debating greatness, when they want to go through greatness, what is it that you are ultimately valuing? Okay. Now, if you're going on a season per season basis, the overall skills that it takes to be an NBA basketball player, I'm always going to pick Michael Jordan for the simple fact that when the going gets tough or it's time to go and get a bucket or I have one game, okay, for the rest of my life, Michael Jordan is going to be my pick every single time, and it's not even close. All right. Now, on the LeBron side of things, what I will say is LeBron can literally play with any team, and that team could be successful. Now, I'm talking about a prime LeBron. I don't think you necessarily take LeBron right now. He's a little bit older, but a prime LeBron, the fearsome defender that he was, a prime LeBron, I firmly do believe you could take on any single team, put him in there, and they are a bare minimum playoff team, if not a title contender. Look at what he did when he was in the Cavs, okay? I think he went to 8 NBA finals in a row. I get it. He didn't win them all. But to go to 8 in a row, I mean, that is a run of dominance, at least across your conference, and consistent winning that we've probably never seen from any one player over the course of time, all right? Now, Jordan has the 3. He left, then he has the 3 again, okay? We can't say what would have happened if he would have been there, all right? But Jordan, obviously, when he played and when he was in his prime, he was in his most dominance. So I almost look at it like if you're valuing longevity, career accomplishments, statistics, it's hard to deny that LeBron is the greatest of all time. But if you're going on like compare them on a season by season basis, your best versus the other guy's best, Michael Jordan to me will always be the greatest player of all time because I just think the overall skills of a basketball player combined with his overall scoring prowess, I just don't think we'll ever see a player like that. So while I think both do have their arguments based on your valued skill sets, MJ would still be my guy. But I do think the argument is really close right now. I really do. And if LeBron, let's say, if he could somehow find a way to get one more title, I might have to really rethink the conversation. But go ahead.
I don't think there's any conversation here.
Okay.
Right. And so, I say things like this, and I had to pull up some statistics.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
But before I go into it,
that's fine.
Let me say this. I will say that LeBron, I think.
Would you say he's the more complete overall athlete of the two?
What I will say is that I think LeBron has the greatest athletic professional career. And what I mean by that is,
interesting.
He's a billionaire.
Sure.
Exceptional family.
Sure.
Wife, 3 kids.
Never a black mark, really.
No black marks. Yep. 2 future NBA children, right?
Yeah.
One is already
One's
in the
already
league,
in. One's
right?
already in. Some people will complain about that, but he's in.
So what he's done for his so that was his family, his friends,
athletes,
right? Maverick
too.
Carter.
He's empowered athletes.
He's
so
empowered
much.
athlete.
Sure.
What he's done for the Akron community.
Yep.
So I think LeBron overall, I think he is the ideal athlete. If you designed a career,
sure,
he has the ideal athletic career.
Okay,
in terms of
everything
overall,
the on the court, the
on
influence,
the court, off the court, the influence, 100%,
the businessman, family man,
100%.
I get
future NBA owner, all of his business endeavors.
Already
he owns
another
a part
team,
of the Red Sox, right? Already owns a soccer team,
yep.
right? So just overall, everything that he's doing, he
owns his own production company. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Right, exactly. So from that standpoint, to me, he has the better career. Michael Jordan is an icon, right? On the court,
we're still talking about it.
Right? We're still what he
did
globally for branding.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. So he's a big influence on growing basketball internationally too.
100%.
Yeah.
So just like I'm talking
the fan bases as well.
Yeah, just like I'm talking about LeBron, family man off the court with his friends.
Sure.
What Michael did.
Yeah. Without social media and in a very different time.
Without social media from a branding standpoint. Right? His name
the
will
deals,
live forever.
Sure.
Right? Everybody really knows LeBron for what he's done on the court. And, some people respect him more as a family man as well. But it's still from that athletic perspective.
I hear you.
Michael Jordan, right? He was a rock star, a pop star. Like, he was Taylor Swift. He was Beyonce in one, but a male.
Yep.
Right? And so
he opened up what it could be to be a professional athlete.
Exactly.
He did open the door.
And then on the court, he was just a killer.
He was.
Right?
He was.
And you got to understand.
He was there to win the game. That's what MJ was there for.
But he also sent a message every time. like I said, with Kukoc, oh, that's the man. That's the next coming. I got him, right? Or, you know what? My team, nobody's hitting threes. You know what? I'm just going to shoot threes, right? I need 15 assists. I'm going to, pass the ball. We need 5, 7, 8 steals.
Sure.
And he could do anything on the basketball court.
Yep.
He literally flew in the air, right? And so from a mental standpoint, he won the game so many times before he got started. He, like Tom Brady, don't give him the ball, right? Don't give him one last drive.
Sure.
Oh, you left a minute on the clock?
Sure.
Right? Like, they talk about the
fantastic two-way player. I mean, sure.
Right. And listen, to just highlight a couple stats, because you don't like talking about championships, right? So I won't
No,
bring
I
up,
like a combination.
I won't bring up championships, right?
Combination.
But here's what I will point out. LeBron has played 40% more games and more minutes than Michael Jordan.
That's why I like a season-by-season average.
Right?
I don't like the
Well,
totality.
let's just do some math.
Okay.
Right? LeBron has scored 40,400 plus points in his career.
He's number one.
Michael has scored 32,292.
Yep.
If you add 40% more to that, which is approximately 12,000, right? To match games and minutes played.
Sure.
MJ is over 44,000 points.
Sure. Now, would he have been the same level?
10% more than LeBron.
I think the only thing that somebody on the other side might say is, but would he continue to be able to score like that if he had just kept playing? You hear what I'm saying?
Yes, right. From a physical physique standpoint,
correct.
Right? Like, again, LeBron has been exceptional with his body. What I'm trying to multiply.
Like, he still has his athleticism.
Agree, but all I'm trying to do is, pound for pound, right? If all things were equal,
sure.
Our medical technology and advancements, if Michael had all of that, where would he be with the knowledge to say, hey, don't get bigger, get smaller, put less pressure on your joints and muscles, right? That's how I'm assuming it. Like, there would be no question in what Michael would have done. If Michael had stability, right? Where, imagine if he was still on the Bulls, right? Remember, the year after he left, right? The Knicks went to the finals with the Spurs. You're telling me that Chicago Bulls team couldn't take down either one of those opponents, right? So all of a sudden you start to look at those things.
Would have loved to seen that Bulls team against the Rockets once. And one of
that
those,
would have been nice.
I would really like to have seen that.
Yes, that would have been nice.
That's
so
one of the big
those are the things that I really account for, to say, like, if Michael still had Phil, right? A happy Pippen, right? Ownership / GM that wanted him there. What could they have been?
If they had kept that team one more year, they would have played the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals against Duncan.
If it wasn't,
that would have been cool to see too.
Well, if it wasn't taboo, right, to jump from team to team, right? Imagine if Jordan left and went to the Lakers and played with one Kobe Bryant or one Shaquille O'Neal.
Sure.
Right?
As he was aging and needed some other. No,
right. What would have happened then? What if Michael Jordan recruited, right, and brought in a Allen Iverson, right? What if he, did things of that nature?
After he crossed them up in that first time they played each other.
No hard feelings, right? These are the things that, like, if it wasn't taboo back then, right? But for those same reasons, you got to give MJ credit. He stayed with one team.
Sure.
Right? He was perfect, right? I won't bring him to championships, but he's 6 for 6.
No, it's fair.
Right?
The championships have to be a part
never
of
went
the
to
equation.
a game 7. Yeah. Right? And
I think that's one of the biggest things. The fact that he never played in a game 7. In the finals.
And listen, to me, I have to bring this up. In the Jordan era, no one else won. Jordan's resume, right? A huge part of it.
Other than the 2 years he was gone, but you're talking at his peak when he was playing.
If he played, nobody else was winning, right? So my argument is Michael Jordan, on his resume, a part of his resume are the amount of Hall of Famers
he kept from winning rings. That's great. It's a great argument.
Can you even say something similar to LeBron? It's not a dig.
No, I hear you.
But the Warriors had their run during the LeBron era.
They did.
Right?
Boston Celtics won 1-2. He was still kind of on his come up.
The Boston Celtics, right? The Heat won 1, technically 2 with Wade, depending on how you want to look at that.
Sure.
Heck, he allowed the Dallas Mavericks to get 1.
did. That's the biggest black mark on LeBron's legacy. It will forever be.
Like that. What's that equivalent? That's not even, Michael losing to the Orlando Magic. Sure. There was a Shaquille O'Neal, right? Yes. Don't get me wrong. Much respect to Dirk, but that Magic team was significant better than this, sure. Dallas team that LeBron lost to, right? So it just, there were so many questions. And in the biggest moments, people wondered, like, will LeBron shoot free throws, right? He's so physically strong and imposing. Why doesn't he go to the hole, right? There's just all these questions. He's making the right play versus making the play, right? Kobe Bryant, just give me the ball.
Yeah.
Just give me the ball.
Yeah. Sometimes that did not always work out in Kobe's favor, but yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you.
But he's got 5 championships.
Sometimes you want that guy. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, listen, we're not saying Kobe's better than LeBron, though, right?
I'm not, right? Okay. But I'm just saying.
And I love Kobe, for the record. Like, I have nothing but respect for Kobe.
Like, this conversation is about LeBron and MJ.
I think there was a big diesel over there, too, that had something to do with them 5 chips.
I'm pretty sure LeBron played with the big diesel, too, right?
Oh, so that was a big guy. I don't know if that was the diesel at that point, man.
But
that was more like the unleaded fuel.
Yeah. So listen, much respect to LeBron, but there's no question, right? And also remember this: Michael played in a more physical NBA at the time,
sure.
hand checking.
Although some would say LeBron has definitely played in the more athletic, the more overall talented.
But I'm gonna argue: imagine Michael Jordan playing in today's time.
Well, a lot of people think he would have averaged like 40 or 50 points a game.
I won't say 50; that's aggressive.
Yeah.
But I will say 38.
But just for how much they let you play and they don't let you foul.
And
he averaged 30. I think he averaged almost 37 points a game one of those years too, like that you're talking about.
10
like
scoring
during
titles,
his prime. Yep.
Right, 10 scoring titles. But remember this:
Defensive Player of the Year.
He was averaging 30, 31 points, shooting twos.
I know.
Right?
Threes were not really a big part of his game.
Just imagine if all of a sudden that was the case. Yep. So, that's how I look at it. Look, much respect to LeBron, but hands down on the basketball court, right? Michael wins every day. Yes, look, can you argue if you want to build the perfect team, right? To me,
it's
LeBron
easier to build a team. LeBron's the easiest guy to build a team around because he fills so many gaps.
But that's the thing. To build a team, you pick LeBron. To win a championship, pick Michael Jordan.
I agree.
Right? Because with Michael, you just got to make it to the dance.
I agree.
So to me, hands down, MJ all the time.
And another thing that a lot of LeBron fans, and again, I'm a fan of both players. I love both players. I really do. MJ, though, will always hold a special place in my heart.
And let the record show, like, Michael Jordan is LeBron's favorite player.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So like,
absolutely.
We're not
That's
saying
who he wanted to be.
Absolutely. To LeBron to say MJ is the greatest.
Yeah. So listen, I think to kind of tie a bow in this whole thing too, because you were bringing up the stats. Jordan has the scoring, the fact that he won a Defensive Player of the Year. Now, what a lot of people say is, well, what about the other things? LeBron, 3-point shooting, okay, or rebounds and assists. And it's true. LeBron gobbles up stats with the best of them. But if you actually go on a ranking, put LeBron in small forward or power forward, and you do his actual rankings per season in rebounds or assists, he's not even in the top 10 in either of those respective categories for averages. I think he's actually in the 20s or the 30s. MJ, for a shooting guard, rebounding and assisting, he's in the top 5 or top 10, I believe, in all those. So while LeBron might have more accumulation of stats on a per average at your position, Michael Jordan was actually still better at those things than LeBron was to respect to the positions. So I still think the statistical argument, it's all how you kind of frame it. Mm-hmm. I'm really just year by year averages and how you rank at your respective positions, combined with the titles, combined with what I see, okay? That's why MJ will still always be the best. I've just never seen a basketball player like him, especially in the fourth quarter when it was time to go and win games. He just simply took over games and, like you said, made the play. The right play didn't matter all the time. And it's not like he didn't make them. He kicked it to John Paxson, on that one NBA Finals. He kicked it to Steve Kerr when he needed it to. So he could do that too. But he could also just go and rip your freaking heart out, right? He could go and backhand Karl Malone from behind and then go hit that J right in Byron Russell's face. It's just what he did. He could go hit.
Talk about the flu game,
the flu game. He could go hit 12 threes against the Portland Trailblazers when he wasn't even a 3-point shooter and set an NBA Finals record. So Michael Jordan, just when you needed it, it was when he was his best. Mm-hmm. Not to say that LeBron hasn't been great in NBA Finals, but it's just when I say when you needed it, money on the table, there's 2 minutes to go. Like, I need that guy that's just going to go and bring us home. I'm taking MJ every single time.
Yeah, and listen, if I look back at LeBron's career, I just wish he played in the post more. Right? If he played in the post more, I think he would have had a more dominant presence.
Sure.
I think
he'd have been much more of a scorer too.
Been much
more
of
a score first player.
I think LeBron struggled.
And that's what we like too at the end of the day, right? We do like score first players in the NBA.
Yes, but no, right? Please, people don't
love
the
talent.
People don't love Carmelo Anthony, right? Like, right?
Fair.
He was
if that's
scorer.
all you bring, though.
Exactly. I think so. The thing
like
is,
MJ
when
could
it
guard,
matters,
Kobe could guard, LeBron could guard,
right? When it matters, are you clutch, right? Do you want the ball?
Sure.
Look, by far, LeBron's a leader, but I think LeBron, just hypothetically looking at his career, I think he struggled with that point forward mentality because he was trying to make the play like a point guard when he needed to dominate the post like a forward. Now, could he have done that? Been more of a point guard during the regular season, but playoff time, I wanted.
You wanted back to the basket, back down.
You know, again, play out of that triangle system, right? That's what I would have wanted to see.
And he still could have passed. I mean, Shaq used to do that, and Shaq became a great passer towards the later part of his
different
career.
Moves or whatever. But imagine if he had a fadeaway and he was playing in the post and he could spin off, right? There's just so much that he could do, either get their big guy in trouble, dominate their guards. You know, so that's what I would have liked to see more. And if he did that in his career, I think all of a sudden then the numbers would have been exponentially different.
Sure.
Right. And I don't think he has the losses on his resume that he does.
Yeah, no. And I mean, that's one thing that people are always going to look at, 4-6 versus 6-0, you know? So that's a huge part of it. But listen, I think we both fall on the MJ side, but obviously much respect to LeBron, what they did this year and what he's still doing at 39 years old. It is really fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I said
it's
he
amazing.
has the greatest.
It is amazing.
Like overall career.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally agree. Yeah. Yep. So listen, let's switch gears now because what are we 3-4 weeks out from the start of the NFL season?
3 weeks.
Okay. So 3 weeks. So development on the Aiyuk situation per a former 49ers scout. Okay. Who seems to have some inside information. Aiyuk apparently shied away from all these trade destinations that the 49ers were working. Now, we've been talking about this situation at length the past couple of weeks. What I'll say is, in my opinion, this drastically shifts the momentum and leverage to the 49ers side because if he wants to get extended with them now, it's kind of like, well, you're going to kind of agree to our number. We said we're going to trade you. We said we were going to trade you, but the thing is we gave you 3 different possible locations. You've said no to all of them. Well, you haven't liked our number on the contract either. So what is it? Or you just play out this year on the contract and then both sides kind of figure it out from there.
Well, exactly. I think that's what Aiyuk is weighing, right? At this point, he's within 12 months of being a free agent. So why not?
But you think that gives him more leverage?
Yes, right? Because here's the thing. The 49ers, right, they got to worry about Brock Purdy next year, right?
Okay.
Trent Williams this year wants to re-up. What are you going to do with Debo's contract? What are you going to – George Kittle is up for an extension. And I think Debo only has 1 year left on his deal. So there's a lot of things going on. And when you pay Brock Purdy $50, $55, $58 million,
that's what you're hoping, right?
That's going to eat up a lot. What do you do with Nick Bosa? Right. You know, since he's gotten that contract, he has to, match the production. Right. So you can have, CMC making 19 million, Nick Bosa making 35 million, Brock Purdy making 55 million, Debo Samuel's making 20+ million. Aiyuk, if he just waits this out, the likelihood is they're not going to franchise him next year.
I doubt it.
15 million.
I think they'd be fine with him playing out this year.
Why in the world would you sign with anyone, play out these next 16 games, be a free agent, and you're almost assured to land between 35 and 36 million a year on a 5-year plus deal?
Lack of
Justin Jefferson contract.
But you don't think that at the same time he might be thinking a little on the lack of security? Like, wouldn't he rather have guaranteed money for the next couple of years?
Some players
rather than betting on just the one season?
I think some of the players have looked at the Kirk Cousins model, and the key is getting to free agency.
That's interesting.
He can probably get $100 million guaranteed and north of $150 million if he makes it.
So then let me go back on what I said, and let me add a caveat. If he's trying to extend with the 49ers, okay, or extend somewhere, I think that him saying no to those trades, I do think that gives 49ers leverage in the contract negotiations because they can sit there and go, here's our number. If you want this, fine, we'll give you multiple years. If not, we're fine with you playing out your final year.
Yeah, but remember this, the word was that the 49ers were asking for 2 first-round picks, right? Or a first, second plus compensation.
Steep. How old is he?
Aiyuk, I think he's 27, 28, right?
Okay.
He's young and he's worth he's worth the money.
2 first-round picks, a little steep.
Plus $35 million. I don't think he's worth that.
I agree.
So if you're Aiyuk and you want to go to the Steelers, why have them 100% deplete your team, right? When you have the ability to switch things off.
Sure.
But
we finished talking about the Brandon Aiyuk situation, okay? And obviously, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. DaCosta.
Oh, I'm still here?
You're still here. You're still here.
Right.
You still have been trying to get rid of you, but I mean, I just haven't found a better replacement.
What's going to happen to the show if you get rid of me? You know?
Just a joke, people. So we got the Aiyuk situation. That's still got to kind of play itself out right now. But the other one is now Haason Reddick holding out with the Jets. Now, for some people who are not as familiar with this situation, and when I see this, I'm kind of just like, see, this is the Jets will be Jets. Haason Reddick was on the last year of his deal going into Philly, and he wanted a contract extension. Philly wasn't going to do that, so they shopped around the league. Jets called up, knowing that this guy wants a contract extension, okay? And they say, yeah, sure, we'll trade for him. I think they sent Philly a younger defensive lineman and maybe some draft compensation as well.
Third round pick
in return. There you go. So to get Haason Reddick. Fast forward to right now. Now, I guess apparently Haason Reddick said, at least this is being reported as well, that he would play out the contract, okay? But again, so what's said behind closed doors is said behind closed doors. We can't really prove it. The bottom line is Jets have kind of put themselves in this situation.
What it appears, right, from rumors, right, is that they had a handshake agreement.
Okay.
That the Jets were going to give him a contract extension.
Sure.
He would play out this season, right, because his salary cap is friendly. Aaron Rodgers is eating up the cap, and Quentin Williams,
sure,
right? A bunch of other players, Mosley. So they wanted him to play out this year at $14 million, right? But one of their requirements, like, hey, come into the building, work out, go to OTAs, come to camp, and we'll give us an opportunity to negotiate. The Jets' position has been, we're not going to negotiate with anyone that's not in the building. Like, he was traded and never reported to the Jets.
Fair.
Right? And he's asking for a contract extension. Now, I don't blame the Jets because to me, two things happened. One, separate from the handshake agreement, two things happened. The salary cap went up $15, $20 million. No one was expecting that. When that happened now, that means all teams have more money.
Sure.
Right? The Giants gave Burns a huge contract.
Yes.
I think it's Danielle Hunter. Right,
yes,
he got a big contract with the Texans.
Yep.
Now he took a shorter deal. I think he took a 2-year, $50 million deal, right, to averaging around $25 million a year. I think the Burns contract is around $27, $28 million a year. So you start to look at these deals, right? Huff, that was on the Jets, got a pretty nice contract from the Eagles.
I actually thought it was a good trade for the Eagles. Right? They got a little younger.
Yes, right. They got similar production with a draft pick.
Yeah, sure. Haason Reddick is the better player right now, but there's more to be developed with the young guy.
Yes. So I think, I think that's the real issue. That Reddick was like, whoa, right? I said I was going to play for 14, but now the market's at 25, 27. And again, if you put Reddick in the category, it's something like double-digit sacks for the last 3 or 5 years on a consistent basis.
2 years ago, I'm pretty sure he led the league in sacks.
Right? Yeah. It basically it's him and Myles Garrett, right, in total sacks or,
okay. Yeah, I know Garrett. Garrett's
over
up
the last 3 to 5 years.
TJ Watt's up there too.
So because of that, he's like, listen, I'm withholding services. But a couple things. If you sort of again, even if it was your agent's like, hey, they're going to give us an extension. We're going to iron out the numbers. And then the market moved. And now you renege on that overall agreement.
Yep.
That's distasteful to you. One, you also got to remember other teams are looking at this too, right? To say, hey, like, all right, the Jets, they, bumble and fumble, right? But did they really mess this one up that badly? Because they could have just given their guy, Huff, an extension. They could have went and got Danielle Hunter. There were other players on the market. They didn't have to trade a pick to get a player, right, to not give him an extension. That wouldn't make, think about it. Why would the Jets give up a pick for
a younger player at the same position?
A younger player at the same position to not give them a contract extension. You know, to be fair to the Jets, that don't make a lot of sense. That's why the idea that there was some sort of preliminary agreement.
But don't you think the Jets sometimes do things that from time to time maybe don't make the most sense?
Listen,
I'm not trying to hate on the Jets for the record. This isn't like the Cowboys or the Eagles. Not the most trustworthy organization.
I can't be upset for a kid being young and dumb when they're young, right? The Jets, they're no longer young. The Jets have been making the right moves, right? We're seeing what's going on with the offensive coordinator, Hackett, right? That might not be who they want, but that's a necessary evil.
Aaron Rodgers wants,
right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, the Jets have been making the right move. Again, let's just go back to the draft, right? I'm a Giants fan. I wish the Giants did what the Jets did. Go get a Garrett Wilson, right? Go get a elite pass rusher. Go get a Sauce Gardner, right? Now those are the cores of your team. The Jets are going to have to give them massive contracts. Sauce Gardner might be the best cornerback in the league. Garrett Wilson, with a competent quarterback, might be a top 5 wide receiver in the league.
He might.
Right? One Breece Hall that they picked up in the second round, he is a top 5 running back. Then Quentin Williams, Mosley.
Quentin Williams is a beast.
Right? Start to look at that team. The only thing that they never fixed was the offensive line, which they semi-addressed this past season. So the Jets aren't the, butt fumble they used to be. So I don't look at them that way, at least right now, right? Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles, that is legitimately bad luck.
I did not think we were going to have a butt fumble mention in this podcast.
So I'm going to give the Jets the benefit of the doubt and say the player reneged, right, on a preliminary agreement, right? Because ultimately there has to be some good faith to say, hey, we're short a couple $1 million. You could fix that through structure. You could fix that through wording. Because remember, Haason Reddick current contract is not guaranteed. And that's probably one of the biggest things he's worried about. Right. So to me, if he reported to camp and is just like, hey, sweeten the deal, give me some more money, promise to not franchise me. There's a lot of things that they could do to fix the situation. But when you trade for someone and you never report, right, you're not in the building at all to truly, meet the team that you're asking $100 million contract for.
Sure.
That's a little distasteful.
So you make some good points. Here's what I'll say to this. If the Jets do have leverage from this side of things. Here's what I will say about the Jets. The last 2 years, their defense has performed very well. Okay. So it's not like they necessarily, listen, nobody says no to adding more talent to an already talented side of the ball. The Jets defense has been very good the last 2 years. Last year, it was actually excellent. The stats wouldn't show it just because they were on the field more. But if you actually go on per drive averages, they were fantastic. Now, you add a more talented player to that. If the Jets are fine with this, they're like, oh, we'll go forward as is, then I would say the Jets have all the leverage. My only thing is that you made the move for a player on an expiring deal who was looking for a contract already in Philly. So how did you not somewhat kind of see this problem arising? Which again,
unless
it could be
changed.
answered by the first thing. Again, and if something changed, then something changed. All I'm going to say is you could talk about the handshake deals or this and that. He clearly was disgruntled in Philly at the fact that they weren't going to extend him. You had to at least prepare in your mind that bringing him here would have caused some type of problems if you didn't give him a contract extension.
Let me tell you why, right? And this is where I think Haason Reddick made a mistake.
Yep.
The Jets are a team that pays their defensive players.
Yeah, it appears
they pay their defensive players.
It appears so.
Right? So ultimately, you could have ended up in a nice situation, right? And would have gotten some form of strong compensation from them, right? Playing for a top offensive team that you won't get that opportunity to do anymore.
Okay. Yeah, listen, it's only time will tell. I'm just saying you did. I can't absolve the Jets because you did somewhat invite this problem based on his what was happening in Philly prior to the trade. That's my only thing. But again, we'll see what happens. Okay, we still got a couple of weeks until the start of the season, and I think that if he starts missing checks, I don't think it's rare that a player ever wants to hold out and not play because ultimately that works against the player.
Wild. It's like $700,000 a game.
I saw his is particularly high too as well. Maybe that's because it's the final year.
$14 million over the course of 17 games.
Yes.
Right. You know, obviously slightly under $1 million, right, per game. So
yeah. So I mean, no, he's putting the risk on himself here.
Absolutely.
What do you think about this Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb situation? So Jerry Jones said last week, we're not urgent to start contract talks with him. Then all of a sudden he kind of, I'm not going to say full on backtracks, but he's like, we love CeeDee, we want, but it's not the most pressing thing. CeeDee kind of like made his comments about it more or less kind of calling the Cowboys a joke and not understanding the situation.
The Cowboys is always a show, right? There's always
they're in the headlines.
Spectacle
they're
going
in the
on,
headlines.
Right? Here's what confuses me. If not CeeDee, who? Right? Who do you pay? CeeDee Lamb is arguably a top 5, top 3 wide receiver in the league.
Definitely top 5.
If it's fantasy,
you could argue top 3.
You can argue he's top 2, right?
Yeah, so I think he was 2 or 3 this past season.
If it's not CeeDee Lamb that you're paying, who do you pay? I understand that with Dak, he may have lacked some production, some big game moments. And so all of a sudden, you're hesitant to give the money. Dak is 31 years old, right? CeeDee Lamb is young, highly productive. He can receive the ball. He can go deep. CeeDee Lamb now can play all positions, X, Y, and Z, right? So for me, he's such an integral part of your offense. Who do you pay? The issue that I have with the Cowboys is that if you don't reward CeeDee Lamb, right, what is everyone else saying, right? Granted, Micah Parsons, he's a top 5, 10 guy at his position, so he's different. But what is that linebacker saying? What is the D lineman saying? What is, the running backs, the offensive lineman saying? If you're not going to pay CeeDee Lamb, right, with all that output at a young age, who do you pay?
So do you think is this something that gets resolved? Is this something that lingers into the season? Like, I guess what I'm looking for is, should Cowboys fans be worried?
If the Cowboys,
if I were them, I'd be very worried.
If the Cowboys do not sign him by the first game of the season,
they extend him,
right? Extend him by the first game of the season, and he doesn't play, that will be the beginning of the end, and the Cowboys will have a top 10 pick in this upcoming year's draft.
Wow. So you think even though, like, if Dak and Micah still play on the other side, you think losing CeeDee is that much of a drop-off?
They can't score points without CeeDee Lamb. They don't even have a number 3 wide receiver without CeeDee Lamb. It's CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of
I'll say top 15.
Player.
I'll say top 15. No. I don't know if I'm going to top 10 because I still think they have some talent on their team, like defensively, the Cowboys. Now,
what talent on
offensively is definitely going to be a struggle for them, no doubt, because you don't have now your number 1 weapon on offense. Totally agree. But I still like their defense. I still think their defense is solid. The offense would just have to be a work in progress. It definitely would be.
Yeah, listen, and look, the Cowboys are in a similar situation. Dak won $60 million. Micah wants $35 million. You gave... Diggs almost $20 million. And listen, you have to give CeeDee Lamb minimum $34 million a year.
Okay.
Right? You got to slot him right between Tyreek Hill
he's got to make.
And
he'll probably reset the market.
I don't think
the fact that he's that high.
I don't think he'll reset the market. If I'm him, if I'm CeeDee Lamb, here's what I want.
Jefferson's the number now to beat. Jefferson has the highest.
Jefferson was 4 years, $140 million.
It comes out to around 90, like 35 per.
He's 35 per.
Yep.
I think about 90 guarantee. If I'm CeeDee, I want 100 guarantee, right? And I want a minimum of 5 years. If I'm CeeDee Lamb, that's what I want.
Yeah.
So that might put it at what, 175 million with $100 million guarantee.
Listen, it's not easy.
I don't care how you divide it up, right? But in 5 years. 175, 35 per.
Okay.
Right? Because what Justin did, he took a 4-year deal so that, if I'm not mistaken, he goes back to the market at 29.
Okay.
Right? Just before he's 30.
Yeah.
So he can get another big contract.
Because he's even younger than CeeDee, I think, by a year. They're close.
I think Jefferson is younger.
Yeah, I think he's a year younger. I think he's a year younger. He might be 24. CeeDee might be 25.
I think they're the same draft, but
CeeDee is still like he's a year older.
I
think he's 1 year older. But they're close. Yeah. they'll be.
So
compared
that's
to each other
I
most
get
of
it.
their careers.
Maybe Jerry is doing all of this for headlines and attention, but it's not helping the team.
Yeah.
Right? You can't tell me Dak is better without CeeDee. You can't tell me the coaches have a better game plan without CeeDee. And if I'm CeeDee and that contract is not there, first of all, to me, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Sure.
Right?
And the longer you let it go, too, the more you're going to pay
me
as
wait.
the team. Yeah.
My price is going to go up. Maybe I would have taken 33, but now I want 35.
And we know Jerry Jones, he can't stand if the Cowboys aren't relevant. So if they start that season out, in a little bit of a struggle, to your point.
But again, if I'm CeeDee, why not play hardball, right? You should ask for everything plus the moon, right?
I agree. And I think
Because
all the
guess
leverage
what?
is in his favor.
Yeah, because again, if he plays hardball, and what if he doesn't sign?
He's not the one that disappeared in that playoff game.
Right? Eventually, like I said, Dak's coming up. You can't tag him, right? Parsons is coming up, right? Lamb, you got to do something.
No, they got a lot of problems. But let's move to now some preseason rookie quarterback talk. I'm actually calling, I got my little nickname for him, the Super Six, okay? Even though one of them was technically drafted outside of the first round, he happens to be one of my favorites. The Super Six all kind of made their debuts, all right? Got a chance to watch little clips of each of them. What were your thoughts? Do you want to start in any particular order, or
Listen,
who impressed you the most?
I was highly impressed with Caleb Williams. I thought he may have started. Not I didn't think he was going to be as impressive. I didn't think he was going to be bad.
He was 4 for 7, and he should have been 6 for 7. Those two other passes were drops. He would have fantastic
but
numbers.
He moved around great in the pocket.
I agree.
Had great
Looks great on those
accuracy.
rollouts too.
Looks great on the rollout, but we all know he could do that. The ability to move within the pocket and throw, get the ball to where it needs to be.
I agree.
Didn't
get frantic around pressure.
Good. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was most impressed
Playing the
with
Bills'
him.
first team defense too.
Mm-hmm. Then from there, I really like Michael Penix, right?
Okay. So did I.
He was, again, a natural thrower of the football. And so out of all of them,
best pure pocket passer in the draft.
Caleb was one, but Michael Penix throwing the ball, I really enjoyed watching him throw the ball, his ball placement to his receivers. I think he's going to do very well. Again, he wasn't great. I was definitely more impressed with Caleb. And then third was Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Okay.
To me, so this is real interesting. I got a Lamar /
that first throw, the one flat to the running back, looked like his juices were flowing a little bit because he just clearly threw it over top of him. But then afterwards, he settled down. Great deep ball.
So
that dude can throw a deep ball.
So I got a Lamar vibe with a Donovan McNabb.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So like Lamar's, body structure, speed,
better
type.
Thrower at this time in his career than Lamar was coming in.
Agreed.
Jaden Daniels. Yeah.
But that's where I compare Donovan
that's where the McNabb comes
being
in.
able to throw downfield.
Okay.
Right. Hit his receiver.
Yeah. Definitely like Daniels deep ball.
Yeah. So
he'll work on the intermediate and short stuff. I think that will come with time, but he can definitely throw the ball down the field.
JJ McCarthy was impressive, right? I think as time in the playoffs, he really led me to believe that he was going to be able to throw in the NFL.
Better improvisational skills than I expected. There was one play where he got rushed right up the middle and it looked like he was going to get hit. He kind of goes into the guy like he's going to take the hit, hits a really nice spin move, steps up and makes a fantastic throw. More athletic than I think. That's the thing I like about all these guys.
I think the thing with JJ, he makes good decisions, right? And I think
ran an NFL offense in college.
Exactly. With all of his time with hardball, avoid negative plays.
Yeah.
So that's what I took away from JJ. I don't want to use the word polished, but he was very buttoned up.
I agree.
Right? Where it's like,
I agree.
Don't lose the game.
Sure.
No negative plays, right?
Yep.
It's a Tomlin thing, right? Like, limit the sacks, limit the turnovers, and we'll win the game.
Yep.
Right? Then make a play.
Yeah. Listen, I agree. The guy that I will tell you actually that I've been so curious to watch, and now having seen him, I'm really curious to see what he and Sean Payton can do together. I'm very intrigued by Bo Nix. I really am. Bo Nix to me and Sean Payton are like a match made in heaven. Coming from the Oregon system where it's very precise, it's very designed to make the quarterback decision, the decision-making easier on the quarterback. It's very simple. We call the play, you throw to X, okay? And then you go through a lot. He has that down. And that's exactly what Sean Payton wants. That's what he had in Drew Brees years ago. We were talking about this pre-meeting. It has to work.
Bo
Nix has to be good because they gave up on, Russell Wilson and they took a $40 million dead cap hit just to go and make this move. It has to work. But I like his mobility. I like his ability to move within the pocket. He throws well on the run and he can actually scramble too as well.
So agree with everything you said.
Sure.
The only thing I noticed a little bit, I felt he was a little frantic in the pocket.
Okay.
Right. So again, it felt like he was looking to run.
Okay.
Right. Versus what Caleb impressed me with is
like feeling the happy feet, like a little.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Caleb was like, okay,
the pass rush is faster.
9.
Yep.
I can't run anywhere. I got to stick this throw.
Sure.
Right. Versus, Nix is like, let me get out of the pocket and make a play.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, you're going to have to get out of the pocket and make a play. That's necessary.
Yeah. Caleb tries to sit in the pocket until he has to scramble.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Exactly. Right. So that's my only thing. I want to see him settle down. Right. Again, with quarterbacks, just pay attention to their feet.
Yeah.
Right. Because even if you got great arm talent, your feet is your dead giveaway.
I do agree.
Do you know what you're going? Are you able to transition?
That's what I
your
always
weight,
watch.
Right. Are you able to, flip your hips? Right. Because what ends up happening is if you just rely on talent, right, then the other players are going to get you because they're just as good, if not better, and they have better technique.
Sure.
Right. So if you have poor technique and high talent, that usually doesn't work out very well on the quarterback side.
Yeah. So the two guys I can tell you right now, Drake May, by the way, if there was anyone that I was going to kind of rule against, almost sell my stock on right now, it's him. And it's not just his fault. I think he's easily in the worst situation of all the young guys. But if there's two guys that I am 100% sold on, Caleb Williams, I think is going to do it in the NFL. I think he has a chance to be a special player. Michael Penix is the other one. And you remember, we talked about him all last year. I was very high on Michael Penix, and I continue to be. Especially if he can just adapt a little bit to trusting his athleticism a little bit more and using it, not all the time, but when he has to. Know that you have that in your back pocket. But I think both of them can flourish in the situations that they're in.
I'm going to add Daniels to that list just because his running ability.
The only thing that scares me is the injuries with him. It's the only thing.
His running ability, but more so than that, his arm talent with that offense, right? The fact that he's with Cliff Kingsbury, right? That's going to love to throw the ball. And here's the thing. Daniels doesn't have a lot of turnovers. He didn't have a lot of turnovers his last couple of years in college. And so that's impressive.
Through to two now starting NFL wide receivers there too as well.
And then actually what he did in the game, he was able to check out of some plays already. So he's so comfortable with his playbook, he was able to read the defense, check out to a deep ball pass, right, and get it downfield. Yeah. So again, high level, right? Something small, you probably don't pick up on it, but that's real high level that I saw from him that was going to help him later on, right? Because if you have so much knowledge of the office that you can check, right? That's highly impressive. When it's preseason, you run the play, see what happens, and you learn from it. But when you know a play is about to die, right before it starts, and you could check in, that's a counter that's going to be very beneficial to him.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, it's preseason. Obviously things will speed up and it'll rapidly change. But if I were rating them right now, I would probably say Caleb is 1 to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think he deserved to go number 1 overall. Penix would be number 2. Daniels would be 3. Bo Nix would be my 4, though. Okay. I enjoyed what I saw out of Bo Nix. I really did. JJ McCarthy would have been higher. We forgot to mention this. Torn meniscus.
Torn
finds
meniscus,
out. Yeah. So he could probably be missing a couple of weeks to start the season.
I think
it's not the worst thing.
I was going to say, that might be the best thing for him. Let him sit for the entire year.
Now he has to sit. Yeah.
And listen, I'm going to be honest. With Drake May, with what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, I think he needs to pull a Jordan Love. He might need to sit for 2 or 3 years before he's actually.
The plan, I think, is not to immediately start him. I think they are going to start with Jacoby Brissett.
I definitely don't think we should see him at all this year.
Wow. At all. So if they go like 1-6, though, at some point, and the crowd is just from an excitement standpoint, so just sit him the whole year. All right. I mean, listen, we've seen it work in the past before. Some guys sit multiple years. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, Mahomes sat for a year before he started. So obviously that.
Here's the other thing.
While they're expected to play now more than ever, the sit and wait strategy still has paid off.
So the one thing on the rookie quarterback, it's like a boxer. You have a limited amount of hits you want to take before you become shook.
Okay.
Right? So what I love about the Jordan Love situation and looking at the Green Bay Packers model is that when you're able to sit and learn for 3 years, now I think 3 years is a little too long, but when you're able to sit for that long, right, the game, you're used to the speed of the game. Mentally, it's not overwhelming, right? You know your playbook, and now you could just go out and execute, right? So I think he needs to get to that point where he can, just execute and be comfortable with the offense.
Like it. So listen, here's what we're going to do then. All right. We're going to do kind of a fast take segment here to finish up the show today. Most approved / like kind of under the most pressure coming into this year.
Okay.
We're going to look at players,
okay,
coaches, and teams. All right. Now, I have a list for all of them. I'll start. Okay. My players.
What are we starting with? Players? Okay.
Players. We're going to start with players. Just going to do 3.
3?
Okay. 3. So the players that I think have the most to prove, and I'll give you a brief synopsis of each. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, and Tua Tagovailoa on my 4. Jordan Love was an honorable mention. All right. The only reason that I didn't put him in was because I saw enough out of him last year where I understand and I see what warranted that extension. You had to take the chance on him. He went into Dallas and just freaking carved them up. The moves, the off-platform throws, I saw just the ability for even more learning. And that was his first year starting. Okay. But start off with Trevor Lawrence really quickly. It's really simple. Rookie year, really bad. Second year, great once you got an actual coach, okay? I think he ranked like 9th in QBR that year, 31 touchdowns, I think 9 interceptions. Jags lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs that year after having that crazy comeback against the Chargers. Yep. Okay, now come back to this past year. They were leading the division most of the year, and then they kind of fell apart at the end of the season. Lawrence played okay, all right? So this is kind of it. You just got the big contract. So far, we're not really sure the player that you are yet. So this is kind of that year. Step up. They paid you big money. You got to at least, at bare minimum, the Jags got to go and make the playoffs, and I think at least win one playoff game for Trevor Lawrence to kind of solidify, okay, this is the guy. We made the right decision. Herbert's another one. No one can deny the talent. The talent is there. He's just a freak. Okay. I think some of his stats over the first 4 or 5 years in his career, some of the best ever amongst all quarterbacks. Got to go show me now that you can win. And you don't have the excuse of the coach anymore. You've got a high level NFL coach who's been to a Super Bowl and has won a national title as well in Harbaugh. So for me, Herbert, it's kind of the put up or shut up time. Tua Tagovailoa, I think, has the most pressure on him coming into this season. He got paid top of the market money, and I'm still not sold that he is that level of quarterback. He puts up fantastic numbers, okay? Fantastic numbers. He really starts to dip off during the later months of the season. There's still that injury question with him because of his lack of size. And also with him, got to go out and win a playoff game, man. I mean, that Chiefs game was just embarrassing. So far, the Dolphins have done better in a playoff game with their backup quarterback who almost went and beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo than they have with Tua. So, yeah, Tua, I think, has the most pressure coming into the season.
All right, so for me, I'm going to go with, this might surprise everyone, Bryce Young. When you look at what CJ Stroud did last year, being the 2nd overall pick. Right? And you look at the overall Carolina situation where they traded up for you, right? If I'm not mistaken, 3 first-round picks. One ended up being Caleb Williams, which is second coming of Patrick Mahomes.
That might turn out to be one of the greatest trades for one team in NFL history.
Agreed. So think about that. The 2 people you will forever be compared to as of this moment is CJ Stroud
and Caleb Williams.
It's tough. Right? That is freaking pressure.
It's a good argument.
Right?
It's a good argument, man.
Next, it is Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
Right? I'm going a little different here.
I like it. I respect
for what you said earlier. It's the Jets. Come on. They're going to do everything wrong. They can't get right. Well, guess what? If Aaron Rodgers throws for 35 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and they go, what did I say? 11-6?
11-6.
Win their division, and they're playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Ooh, baby. All of a sudden, it's not the same old Jets. That's all I'm saying.
Gotta get that one right there on over here.
Right? But guess what?
Baby.
It's all based on Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair.
If he does what he's supposed to do, the narrative of the entire Jets organization changes. If Aaron Rodgers fails, everyone's getting fired, right? Robert Saleh, Hackett, the GM, right? Everyone's getting fired. Sure. It is all on Aaron Rodgers. That is freaking pressure.
All right.
Last one to speed it up, Deshaun Watson.
Ooh.
Signed a guaranteed contract.
It was top of the line.
Yeah, $46 million a year.
Insane.
He has 2 years left, $90 million. Yep. Right? He was a top 5 quarterback before he went through his situation and so on and so forth. I'll leave it there.
Yep.
So he's got a lot to prove. That Browns defense is legit.
Oh, it's
legit.
My man crush, Myles Garrett.
Right? The argument, if Nick Chubb comes back, they may be the second best team in that division, arguably.
Yeah,
they got a better defense than the Bengals. The things are still out and wondering for the Ravens defense because they lost so much players and coaches. Right, the Steelers are going to be up there, but the Browns brought everybody back.
They did,
right, and their coach Schwartz, he's going to blitz you heavy.
Oh, yeah.
So
he's aggressive.
Deshaun Watson, you show up, right? You're a playoff team, and maybe you can change the narrative for that franchise as well.
Listen, I liked all 3 of yours, man. And it's funny because I didn't have any of them on my list, but I thought they were all very good.
Honorable mention to Daniel Jones.
I have him on my honorable mention too.
Do what you're supposed to do, or are you going to get fired?
I think the difference, though, is the expectation isn't as great. That's why I left him off of my list.
Because it's so poor.
I know, but again, because it's poor, it's less pressure.
20 touchdowns.
But the pressure on him is that you might. This is the year that determines whether you can be a starting quarterback or you're going to.
He's getting paid $40 million a year. He's pretty fine.
I know. Oh no, money wise, he'll be fine, but he might not ever be a starting quarterback again. If he struggles this year, it could happen. So let's go coaches now. Okay. Doug Peterson, just like I had Trevor Lawrence, I got Doug Peterson.
Okay.
Doug Peterson, you won a Super Bowl going against arguably the greatest coach in the history of the NFL and Bill Belichick, and you were play calling. You won that game. When you play called for Trevor Lawrence, he had his best season. I'm not sure what happened last year. He's now put the OC in charge of play calling. If you struggle again this year and you're not going down, doing what you do best, I mean, this could be it now for Doug Peterson too as well. His head coaching tenure, it could be on the line. Mm-hmm. The other one, Kyle Shanahan. Okay. They have been around the big game multiple times. They've been to the Super Bowl 2 times now in the past 4 years. Okay. You got contracts you're trying to figure out. People are starting to wonder, like, how much longer can this team stay together? How can it how much longer can it continue to perform this way? The Chiefs didn't get any worse. They're going to be better. The NFC is a hell of a lot stronger this year. So Kyle Shanahan, it's like you're kind of running out of the window where this team, as currently constructed, is going to continue to be together. I mean, you might. I'd say maybe 2 more years tops, you might be able to keep this team together before it all falls apart. I mean, it's kind of, you got to strike right now. You're a winning coach. No one denies that. But you got to go and win the big one now at this point, especially with this collection of talent. And finally, the dork himself, Nick Sirianni.
How did I know you were going there?
All I ask really simply is, what do you do, sir? There have been numerous reports over the last couple of weeks that not only your quarterback, but numerous people who work with you in previous teams highly question your football acumen and your X's and O's, okay? The thing. You're still not calling anything this year. So if the team struggles, all right, if Jalen Hurts struggles, people are going to look at that as your fault because Jalen Hurts has already been paid. Okay, they can't really move on from Jalen Hurts right now. So Nick Sirianni, this season is kind of on you. You went to a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Since that OC left, it doesn't seem like you've been able to recapture. Now it's only 1 year removed, where they didn't have him. But that guy went on to have tremendous success with the Indianapolis Colts, even after losing his first-round quarterback. Okay, they were still a dropped pass in the backfield away from winning the division. I like what I see in Steichen. I don't know what you are as a head coach, Nick Sirianni. It is yet to be seen.
All right. Those are my 3. I had a feeling you were going there.
Come on, you know it.
After last week, I think my 3 are going to surprise you again.
Okay.
My first one, the Bears, right? Eberflus, right?
I actually like him too when you watch Hard Knocks.
So far, right, Caleb Williams looked like he's the real deal.
I agree.
You're a defensive coach, right? That's going to put more pressure on you. You have to win games,
fair,
right? You have to develop Caleb Williams,
especially
right? Or you're going to lose your job.
Yep.
Right? It's that simple. Because if not, they're going to bring in an offensive mind that could really develop him. And I'm going to say this right now. if Eberflus doesn't do his job, don't be surprised if Lane Kiffin, offensive coordinator from the Washington Commanders.
Oh, Kingsbury.
Kingsbury,
Yeah,
right? He might be the next Bears coach if Eberflus doesn't do his job.
Interesting.
All right?
Okay.
Next, we have the Buffalo Bills.
Sean McDermott.
Right?
He was on my mind. Yeah.
You need to win. You need to win.
Fair.
Right? If not, you're going to lose your job. Right? The gig is up. Everybody's been blaming Stephon Diggs. He's not on the team anymore. So guess what, McDermott, right? Your job is on the line.
Okay.
Because one, Bill Belichick is out there.
He is.
And if I'm the Buffalo Bills,
and these East Coast teams
who has haunted you your entire career, you give Bill Belichick, Josh Allen, watch out now.
Interesting.
All right, last one. This is going to shock everyone. Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. That is a little surprising for me, but okay.
When you've had the season that you had last year, when you lost because of your decision-making, right? All of a sudden, everything changes.
Okay.
Right?
Because you were so close.
Because you were so close. So I think the pressure is on you, and now all of a sudden, right, you're expected to win, right? You're expected to go back to the NFC Championship game, right? And without that, right, you're going to lose. So I don't think he's going to get fired, but I think all of a sudden he's going to get a lot of heat from fans if they don't get back to the NFC Championship game.
Okay. Okay. So I like those. The Campbell one, but I like the other two. The Campbell one, I feel like he's got a little bit more, but I get what you're saying. I do get the rationale. Okay. Teams. All right. I have 3.
All right. Fire
First
away.
one. The New York Jets. I'm hearing all this talk. Aaron Rodgers. The defense is awesome. Garrett Wilson's legit. Breece Hall. And listen, I'm not saying that it isn't true, but you still got to go out and do it. So far, you've had 2 losing seasons back to back. Okay. Now, granted, quarterback play was a big part of that, but you had good enough defenses to go and compete. Couldn't find a way to win a couple more games. Is Aaron Rodgers really the difference? Okay. Let's see. The offensive line. All right. That's a big part in what this team does this season. I'm from the show me state, man. You just got to show me. Okay. So the Jets. All right. Number 2, they're almost like a forgotten team. The Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. The Cincinnati, they were on your list, aren't they?
Yes.
Love it. So listen, I love when there's crossover. Okay. That means great minds are thinking alike.
Yes.
The Bengals, we've forgotten about you a little bit. Listen, you had a great start to the season last year, even after Burrow was a little bit slow. Okay. Seemed like you were starting to hit your stride, 5-3. You go to San Fran and absolutely whoop the 49ers in their house. All of a sudden, Burrow gets hurt. Browning did a decent job, but it fell apart. You've got the issues now with Mixon, who ended up leaving the team after this past season. You have T. Higgins, who's playing on a franchise tag, coming off an injury-riddled season. They lost Taj Boyd, okay? They still have Jamar Chase. I still think they have a solid defense, but again, a couple of years ago, they were calling Arrowhead Burrowhead. Well, fast forward, Patrick Mahomes is not 1, not 2, but 3 Super Bowl rings right now, and you're still sitting there kind of more or less sitting on borrowed time for like, cool, you have a 3-1 record against the Chiefs. And I'm a Burrow fan for the record. But
agreed.
You got to go. I'm a huge fan. You got to go now and prove and show everybody why everybody thought that the Bengals were the toughest matchup for the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs right now are riding high, and a lot of people are thinking they're going to go for that 3-peat, which has never been done in history. Well, who's going to stand in their way? Cincinnati, you were the team that everybody looked to a few years ago. Let's see if you can come back and regain that form. Okay. And finally, the Houston Texans. Ooh. You've got your franchise quarterback. You've got your stud young head coach. You brought over Danielle Hunter. You brought over Joe Mixon. You brought over Stephon Diggs. And this is after that first year of that team, that head coach and that quarterback all being together, still going, winning a playoff game in Cleveland, okay? Having a decent showing against Baltimore before Baltimore kind of just took over. No real excuses this year. You brought in the guy who was second in the league in sacks last year in Danielle Hunter, pair him across from Will Anderson. So you got your edge rushers, you got a defensive coach, you got a stud franchise quarterback. You've got not 1, not 2, but 3 weapons in Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins, a solid tight end too as well. Dameon Pierce, the young running back, who's really good as a rookie. No excuses at this point. If you got all these things figured out, you got to go on at minimum be in the AFC Championship game.
Wow.
At a minimum, I got the Houston Texans.
Ooh, Jesus. That one's a little harsh. That was extremely harsh.
I would call that. I would say that is in comparison to your Dan Campbell on the hot seat.
Yeah, but Dan Campbell's not a rookie, right? Like you got Jared Goff, he's got Super Bowl experience. You just paid St. Brown.
This is
the
NFL.
Gibbs,
you know what that stands for? Not for long. It's time to put up or shut up. You got all the pieces in place over there in Houston. AFC Championship.
No, but Patrick Mahomes is in the AFC.
He
right?
is.
So let's remember that.
He is.
Let's remember that, okay? And if that's the case, with all that pressure, are you saying, he's on pace to be ahead of Josh Allen?
Who?
Right? CJ Stroud, right?
All I'm saying is you've got the guy. Okay. He's easily a top 10 quarterback in the league already now, I would say.
Right.
That's all.
All right. So I am going to go Atlanta Falcons. Right? Bijan Robinson.
That's not bad.
Drake London. Kyle Pitts. Are you guys legit? Minus Bijan.
Now
right?
we're finally a
Are
good
you guys
quarterback, too.
legit offensive weapons? Drake London, wide receivers are getting paid $30 million a year.
They are.
You don't want some of that check? Right?
He wants some cheddar.
Put up or shut up.
That's true.
Right? You got a good offensive line, solid defense, no real pass rush, but offensively.
But it was a good defense, sure.
Offensively, right? Because you got Bates there back in the secondary.
Yeah, that team should be putting up numbers.
Offensively, I expect
with Kirk at the helm now
to be, the Rams on turf.
Okay.
Right? That's what I expect, right, from this team because there is that many weapons.
All right.
Okay?
I don't hate it.
Got the Atlanta Falcons. Next, I did have the Bengals on there, so I'll pivot a little bit.
Oh, wow.
I'll pivot.
I threw them off.
And I'm actually going to go with the Ravens now since I'm pivot. I'm go the other way in the division because you lost your defensive coordinator. Not only did you lose your defensive coordinator, you lost your secondary coach and you lost your linebacker coach.
Sure.
Right? You lost McQueen.
Lost
right?
Queen, yep.
And you brought in Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So you brought in more offensive weapon.
Sure.
It's the second year.
I think they lost Clowney, too, who was the team leader in sacks last year.
You lost Clowney.
Yep.
You brought in offensive coordinator last year. This is his second year in the system.
Sure.
So all of a sudden, we need to see that progression. Lamar, right? Yo, I think you're the man, right? I think you're awesome, but you got to show up in the playoffs.
Fair.
Right? Game, respect, game. You got game, but come to playoffs, you're a little suspect, right? No disrespect. I'm just saying.
It's fair.
Like, we all want to see you at your best in the playoffs, right? And I get it. You lost to Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's preparation, right? But you are one of the elite, right? And I believe you can legit throw the ball, but for whatever reason, it reduces in the playoffs, right? So
Yeah.
I want to see you at your best, right? Baltimore Nation wants to see you at your best, Ravens Nation. So step up, do it, because you got a lot of people rooting for you.
Okay.
All right? Last
The
one.
final reveal.
This one is tough, right? But at the end of the day, gotta go with them Cowboys.
Wow.
Because there's just too much nonsense going on.
Fair.
Too much nonsense going on. Jerry Jones, do you really want to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Right?
Especially coming off of a bad playoff
Who is the
loss.
general manager of that team, right? What are you doing at quarterback? Who in the world is your running back? Will you have a starting wide receiver for game one that anybody knows their name?
A true number one, at least.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're starting a rookie offensive tackle against Myles Garrett in game one. Have you lost your mind?
God.
Right?
Go West at Trent
Your
Williams.
coach is a lame duck coach. Right? You let Dan Quinn leave your team, go to your rival, and they have a better roster than you already. Dallas Cowboys, what are you doing?
At some point, it's got to be stop stealing headlines and start stealing games.
Again, you've won some games, but guess what? All of a sudden, the Commanders got better.
And big games.
Right? Them Giants, that defense is real. If Mr. Daniel Jones can do something, right?
Not be the
they're
reason
gonna be
they
competitive.
lose. Yeah.
But I can tell you, we're gonna be competitive if there's no CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, I agree.
I can tell you that much.
I agree.
Right? So all of a sudden, Cowboys, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, that was a fun segment, man. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. But listen, folks, before I wrap it up, please don't forget, go to all of our major platforms, like, comment, and subscribe. 5-star reviews. We had a lot of topics we covered today. If you want to get some, some commentary back and forth with us, we're always on. And again, you know me, I want that smoke. I love debating back and forth. I'll go back and
Lion
forth
fans,
with you
don't try to
all
come
day.
for me, man. I'm just,
Oh,
expectation
that's right.
is real.
Remember, I said
live up to it.
I said Stafford was better than Goff, and they came for me big time, man.
Listen, you came after the Texans, though, and CJ Stroud, man.
All I'm saying is there's a lot of pressure, man. There's a lot of pressure. Once you make the playoffs and go win a playoff game like that and make the additions that you made, you got to go do something.
So you just said I was right about Dan Campbell then based on that logic.
That's what I said, though, afterwards when you said it was harsh. I said, well, it's fair in comparison to your Dan Campbell one. So, but listen, folks, that is all the time we have for this week's episode of Run It Back. I'm Shane Mallory with my co-host,
Ricky DaCosta.
and we'll see you next week when we Run It Back.